lived 5 blocks within each other, but had never met. We went to the same high school. We went to Riverside roller skating rink every Saturday in the wintertime. We were at several different places, but never ever saw each other until this party. Marilyn Kirk gave this party. And I noticed he kept flirting with me.
I can't imagine that.
Tell us what he was doing.
Yeah, what was he doing?
Like,
Well, we were playing
Winking
post
at
office.
Not post office.
And he was calling my number every time he went into the post office.
Okay, they want to know what the game post office is.
Is that like telephone? No.
It's like Pony Express, only there's no horse in the route.
They don't know what Pony Express is.
I don't even know what Pony Express is.
I don't even know what that is.
Is it? Yeah. Is it like spin the bottle?
They go in, you're together.
Like you have to kiss the person you call their number or something?
Okay, if you get the right number. You gotta know what you're doing.
You don't know what number you're calling. So, I mean, you know the number you're calling, but you don't know who that number belongs to.
Except he had your number.
Yeah, he got my number.
He got your number.
Then he got to talking, and I don't remember the conversation, but we did start up a conversation. He asked me where I lived, and he was familiar with Reisner Street, and he lived on Coffee. And I didn't know where Coffee was because I wasn't familiar with that area. But that night he said, well, I came with my buddy, Eddie, who was in the wedding. And I said, well, I came with my girlfriend, Joanne Brown. And I said, we came out on the bus out to the party. She lived out near Riverside Park. So he says, well, we'd be glad to take you girls home. And I said, well, I'll ask Joanne. No, I went to Maryland. I said, how is this guy? He wants to take us home. Oh, he's swell.
He's swell. I love it.
Were they in the Navy? No, he had enlisted, and he was to go in March. That was it. So,
Okay, wait, we can't hear you.
he had enlisted in the Navy, but
wasn't
would
in it
report to duty in March,
Okay.
and so we dated from then on. They asked us out for dinner the next day, New Year's Day. Took us downtown to that wonderful Japanese restaurant on the surface.
I want it up here because I just need to stabilize this.
Rice?
Well, he went in and had fried pork chops and
And mashed potatoes.
what'd you have? We had chop suey and he probably had mashed potatoes.
Rice then, were you?
Bamboo Inn used to be on the circle in the English Theater, which later
Was J.C.
became
Penney's.
Penny's.
Oh, right on the mall, right on the.
Oh yeah, it was right on the circle.
So he took you home that night and then he asked you to dinner the next day.
Yeah, from the party, they took us home, let us out, and
So
everything
then he
was
knew
nice
where
and
you
said,
lived.
now, can we take you out? We want to. Did you and Eddie get that all planned? I don't think he remembers any of it. This is all news to him.
You can make this sound really good.
Yeah, I do.
It's a new story every week. It's great about getting old, right?
Just make it sound as good as you want.
Now, did you introduce him to Grandma and Grandpa yet? Did they meet him?
No, where were they? They were away.
Been asleep, probably. About
No, it
midnight.
seemed like they were probably,
You kept her out late?
I don't know.
They were partying with Claudia.
Door wide
I think they were gone they were always together.
You all were out till midnight that first party.
Yeah.
Well, it was New Year's Eve.
Oh, it was New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Okay, so when did he start dating
dating you, just from then on?
The next day, and then from that week on, because he knew he was going to be leaving, and
Oh, boy.
He had to make time.
Making time.
Tearjerker.
I'll be leaving.
So, what about the engagement?
Were you 18 what about the first kiss?
at that time?
Yeah, we was 18.
That was in telephone booth,
I don't think we were.
Pony Telephone Express.
He had to have
first
his
serious
mom
kiss?
sign it up, let him get into the
I
name.
turned 18 in boot camp.
Okay, Mom,
So
when
when-
was the first kiss?
Well, it probably wasn't. Well, at the party. At the party.
Along with it,
First
huh?
kiss, when did you first kiss her? Let's see what Dad remembers.
Yes, she admitted that.
We've
Okay,
always
let's
thought
see
it
what
was
Dad says.
Well, it was pretty good, or I wouldn't want to take her home.
Where was it? He didn't say how was
Party.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, that matches Mom's story.
So, did he kiss you the next day at the dinner?
A dinner for you before you got
She
married.
had the dinner for the rehearsal.
She was trying to remember and she
Yeah.
couldn't remember.
I told you.
That's when they
I
sang all the
They
It
have
was
it
in their
recorded.
backyard.
backyard. And they recorded it.
And they record it, and they still have that recording. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
should hear all their voices.
It's just a voice recording.
Francis, yeah. Your mom had a picture of the group. I was there and
Yeah.
everybody was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they interviewed.
Lowell was there. He was on the recording.
Yeah, Lowell was in the recording. We gotta get to the engagement.
So how long after your first date did you get engaged?
Well,
He went on to the Navy.
well, he went in the Navy, and he had a long weekend every other weekend, and he came home, but he was not supposed to leave the camp.
75 miles.
Yeah. And he was stationed in where?
Memphis, Tennessee.
No, this
Oh.
was when he first went in. He went to Camp Perry, Virginia,
Williamsburg.
and then he couldn't come home. You know, he's in boot camp. Then he had to go to training school. And it was at Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah.
That was to learn to be a corpsman. And then he got stationed in Memphis, Tennessee, and he was stationed there in the hospital. The war was over, but the wounded were still coming in. They were still treating wounded. So that was the Christmas. I think it was the second Christmas that you came home.
I had a choice of Christmas or New Year's for holiday.
Leave, yeah, to take a leave. And since it was our anniversary on New Year's, he always came home New Year's. I mean, it's just 2 years. It was it.
Just.
Seemed like a small lifetime to him.
And it's been like that ever since, hasn't it?
Okay, now Mom, tell the story about your ring and what that guy told you in the service about him saving his money for your ring,
For my diamond.
for your diamond. I
And
think
he
that's
sent
sweet.
it before my birthday through the mail. And then he called me. He called me how often?
I'm gonna call you.
My mother had a $50 telephone bill every month. But
That's
she was all right. She
huge.
never complained.
Tell how the man, his buddy, told you how he saved money for your ring. Remember the soap?
Yeah.
How he would.
He was saving. He wasn't buying anything. Trying to save. What'd you make? $4 a month.
$54.
$54 a month. So
That's
he
the whole
wouldn't buy
phone bill.
Anything. He said he'd take his toothpaste and set it on the floor and squeeze every bit of toothpaste out.
Aww.
And he'd take the bar of soap and use it down to the
It
last.
was, there would be nothing left
Nothing
of the
hardly
sliver
left
of
of the
soap.
soap. I just thought that was sweet.
But he got that ring paid for. Then he mailed it to me, and over the phone, he said he told me a package would be coming and not to open it until he called me. And that's when he called me and, okay, you can open the package. And open the package. It was a diamond ring and will you marry me? And do you like the ring?
Did you get on your knees, Dad?
I should have asked him that. Are you on your knees?
Did he ever ask your dad? Did he ever
I'm in
ask
the
your
shower.
dad, Mom?
Did you ask Grandpa Riley?
Yes, what?
Did you ask Grandpa Riley if you could marry her?
No. He wasn't marrying her.
They-
I was gonna marry her.
He was the one doing the
They
favor.
didn't do that back then.
Oh.
I don't
Who
know when
started
they
that?
started that.
Probably your
None of
dad.
my
Grandpa
friends-
started that.
Grandpa started that one.
None of my daughters.
Did Jack start that?
Stephanie, we just made that up.
It never had to happen. Jack started.
I don't know. If I knew you was doing all them shenanigans, I'd have told Mom on it.
Love it.
If I told her about post office, she wouldn't know what it was. I ain't too sure I knew what it was.
Don, he was still paying quarters to go to the movies.
Get rid of Don.
He would bring Eddie, was quite artistic. He would bring Eddie over to my house, and Don was interested in anything artistic. So him and he'd take Don into another room in the house and with a bunch of paper, and they would draw pictures, and we'd sit there and listen to music and our big band music.
Oh, yeah.
At least you could sing the words to the songs back then.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Mom, was there a bunch of excitement from the time that you got engaged on between all your aunts and?
Oh, they planned the wedding. I mean, that was their
They
thing.
went into full gear.
See, cousins, that's how it is. Unlike us. We came in from a date one night, and that's when Mother said, "Oh, hi, you two. We're just sitting here planning your wedding."
And they were too.
Now, I want to know why you told everybody that you had to leave. Did you say you were catching a train at the wedding? You were leaving, and what was that all about? Can you bring
Well,
that?
we were going to spend the night at a motel downtown, but nobody knew. My mother knew that. But because they rushed us, we had to open our wedding gifts right after the wedding.
That's how they did it. Yeah.
And so we rushed out. Carl and Helen knew, but he took us out, and I think we had a sandwich or something before. We went to a restaurant and had a sandwich, and then he took a what hotel did we?
Washington Hotel.
Yeah, Frank got a corned beef on
The
rice.
hotel is still there, but it's not a hotel.
What he got.
The usual.
West Side?
Yeah, West Side, where
That's what I'm
Roscoe Kirkman
Well, I
was.
saw Brenda.
Well, I thought Dad told me it was a missionary
It
church.
was a missionary church, but it didn't have missionary in the name.
Yeah,
It was West Side
West
Christian.
Side.
Wheeler Mission.
No.
Is that where you ate?
Yeah, that's on Washington.
I don't think it was in existence, or we could have.
Well, back then, there were no restaurants outside of downtown, hardly at all.
Or how about hotels?
No fast food. There was hotels down there. Little Wayne,
Just a few drive-ins on the outskirts.
Yeah, a few drive-ins.
Ribbon.
We lived on the south side, west side.
Did you go to the pole?
Cole was later.
Harding is more forest.
Oh, they had White Castle.
And then where did you go on your honeymoon? Once you
Chicago.
But they were telling everybody that they were having to catch a train, midnight train, and so they were leaving in a hurry, but they really weren't going to Chicago that night.
And you stayed at what hotel in Chicago?
They don't remember the name.
What was the name of the hotel in Chicago? The Stevens?
Oh, Stevens.
Family or wedding
It's
party.
still there,
Tried to
and I don't think,
steal the bride.
I think they've changed the name of it,
Hey,
but it cost us
$2.50 a night.
it cost $7
Oh, Stubby might know.
50 cents.
For a week.
And then it cost another 50 cents to get a radio.
I had to have my radio, so I called. Frank says, "Call the desk and have them bring up a radio."
you know how they have to have their earphones now? We had to have radio back then.
So here they come bringing up a radio, and they said sign here, and I signed there, Bernice Riley. The guy looked at me like, you know, says, have I got the right room? I was supposed to be Priors.